Good morning and welcome to the XM.com weekly market update. Peter Maguire is joining me again this week. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Andrew.
Donald Trump is officially in.
He certainly is, and he'll hit the ground running.
You would think so.
Sprinting. I don't think Usain Bolt would keep up with him.
So plenty of promises, plenty of activity, but I think one thing's for sure, we're going to see quite a bit of change.
Totally different administration to Biden.
And we might see, from a financial markets perspective, probably a bit of volatility as well. So,
I would think so.
Good for the trading community.
He said that crypto is going to go to the moon and gold and silver keep a close eye on it and crush energy prices. By a drill baby drill initiative, and that's going to be fascinating if he turns that into an emergency as the president can.
Yeah, which is interesting considering the energy prices are quite low where they are.
They're still at 80. He obviously wants them well under probably 50.
Yep.
He'll have great tax concessions for the rig owners, and it'll be game on.
Certainly help inflation.
Well, that's his whole agenda, Andrew. He wants to bring that down and crush it.
Anyway, we'll start domestically. We've been looking at the Aussie dollar over the last few weeks, which had come off significantly. So it's had a little bit of a bounce, along with a few other currencies, purely on the back of the US dollar coming down quite a bit.
Yep. That US dollar went to 109.50. We thought it could take a 110 handle out. It bounced, and then all of a sudden the wind was taken out of its sails. Bond yields came down, and the US dollar went to 108.09 at the moment. So as you've seen that bounce in the Aussie, I wouldn't be surprised, possibly even a little bit further softness. And let's see how this week rolls as far as President Trump. The markets, you've got to take into consideration, it was Martin Luther King Day yesterday, God bless him,
shut,
20th, and the markets were shut. So that's, there's a little bit of, maybe a little bit of signal, but I don't know as far as noise.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting at the moment with Trump coming in, where also, which has probably been on the sidelines, we're on this kicking off the start of earnings season again. So, and the banks came out last week, and there were some pretty solid numbers from those
very
banks.
Solid.
And they're a real good bellwether for the economy.
Oh, you always say it every quarter, and you keep on, you lead with the same pitch, and the same pitch is you're on the money. So you can't doubt it, because that's the true barometer as far as I think economic health of the nation.
You would think so. Head over to China, the GDP numbers came out. Once again, sort of market expectations were met. An okay number, but as we look at that chart, a 5-year chart, not quite where they were a few years ago.
No, and that's quarter by quarter. Your annual, I think, was around about 5.3, 5.4, so it beat expectation of 5%. So that's a good sign. And that last quarter was relatively robust for China, but nowhere like what it was.
No, but at least it's sort of heading in the right direction. So, similarly over in the UK, the CPI number came out of 2.6%, I think it was.
Yeah. Very
sticky around that sort of mid twos, which is not horrible by any means.
No.
But plenty of problems in the UK though.
Yeah, it all comes down to growth, all comes down to jobs, and the cost of living over there is incredibly high. And there's your GDP. Wow. Yeah,
it's not flash, where you look at that over sort of that 18-month period, and that's, they're pretty low numbers.
Well, they are. When you roll your eye back to 23 there, that's a 2-year window from what it is today. 2 years of very, very anemic growth. You had a couple of negative quarters in there. It's a tough, hard job for the POMs.
Certainly is. So, and the pound, similar to the Aussie dollar, has got a bit of a bounce, but coming off a low there. Once again, probably under a bit of pressure as well. Yeah,
I think everyone's got to be, if you're trading in this and you've seen what's happened over the last couple of days as far as US dollar, that big run up, and we saw that over probably a 10-week, 12-week window from the mid-September all the way through October to, well, in the last 2 weeks, last week, and then it's given up some of those gains. I mean, it's not unusual. You would have, I think, done extremely well if you just bought dollar and sold pound, which everyone did, and Aussie, yen, you name it, euro. It's just that's an excitement one. Go back to the market. You've done well. Reversal, boom.
Yeah, but it's sort of interesting. You look at these charts, and that's just a 1-year chart, and you just look at that movement, and we know currencies are pretty volatile anyway. But purely, if you're looking at it from a trading perspective, you get opportunities continually.
Yeah, you've summarised it beautifully. You see that low that you saw April, May, and then it bounced all the way through from that 122, 123 handle all the way to nearly 134, back down to 122, they're just enormous breakouts.
Yeah, they're big moves, that's for sure. So, and gold. Getting
Giddy up.
Getting a bit of love again.
Yeah, and that chart's a few hours old. It's back at 27.30. I'm expecting volatility. I think that's what will happen with the Trump administration, what he's prepared to do as far as his interactions with Fed Chair Powell. That's going to be fascinating.
Yes.
I'm seeing it on Bloomberg now, even, many analysts and traders are saying there's no rate cuts, it's only going up this year for the US. So where does President Trump play in that? What does the Fed policy say? Is it going to be 2 cuts, 1 cut, 0 or up? I can't believe the script. It's a wonderful theatre at the moment.
Yeah, it's changed so much. If you go back 12 months, and they were just talking about a huge number of rate cuts or whatever.
Every day you're going to get a rate cut.
Yeah, and even what they've done seems to be sort of aggressive, considering the health of the US economy. So you would sort of think this year they're only banking on, they were banking on 2 a month ago.
Yes.
That may now be 1.
Or 0.
Or 0, yeah. But what'll be interesting, you're right, there's going to be plenty of volatility. It'll be interesting to see how the equity markets handle that. But once again, there's plenty of talk about potentially no interest rate cuts as it is. So, and once again, with the equity side of things, if you get good company earnings, then that can
comes
flow
out of
on.
sales.
Does that mean another 20% plus year? Well, that might be a bit of a stretch, but you never know.
You never know.
No,
it's early days.
Yep.
But one thing for sure, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and there'll be plenty of movement. So.
Oh yeah, President Trump back in the wheel. There's no shortage as far as news items.
Yeah, and I think it'll be very interesting that first. And they always talk about that first 100 days of any new prime minister or president.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next few months. So.
Oh yeah.
And later this week, got a bit of action out of Japan as well.
Yeah, I reckon it's 80% probability of a 25 basis point rise. Governor Ueda. We'll just see where that all takes us, and I'm erring on that side. I think you've got to be stacked on that side of the money because everyone's talking about it. The whole mood and sentiment is. So I think it's up, Andrew.
Yeah,
rates.
Looks like it. We'll keep an eye on that and chat about that next week.
Yeah,
and we'll regroup then.
Yeah, keep an eye on crypto. It's had a big run up in the last couple of days. XRP as well, and of course Bitcoin, giving up some of those gains. But boy, oh boy, you've seen massive spikes.
Yeah, it's still pretty hot.
Well, it's hot when the likes of President Trump is endorsing it. So let's see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I know. Plenty of trading opportunities, no doubt.
Game on.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch up next week.
Look forward to it, Andrew.
Thanks, Pete. And that's the XM.com weekly market update.